I know they come with the status now. Can't let them get close when I pat them down. Got the blood of a boss.
Yo, yo, yo. It's your boy, Cardinal Red, and we're back for another one. Alright, y'all. Big news going on right now. Comeback fight. Manny Pacquiao wants Terence Crawford next if Errol Spence negotiations break down. Wow, this came out of nowhere. I have been saying that, I've been telling y'all that Manny Pacquiao most likely will be back in a boxing ring very, very soon. I didn't think his career was over. He still has too much left in the tank, and I don't want to see him go out on that Ugas loss. Now, is this a guarantee that he's going to fight Terence Crawford next? No. But it's a great look for Terence Crawford, even if the fight don't happen. I mentioned a couple of videos ago that Errol Spence should be negotiating with Pacquiao. Whether he actually gets the fight or doesn't get the fight, it's just a good look to bring up Pacquiao's name. Draws in a large fan base. People tune in to watch, and people will start paying more attention just to the negotiation process because you mentioned Pacquiao's name. Now, with that being said, how could this possibly play out in favor of Terence Crawford if he was to actually get this fight? You know, is this a good look? Is this a good fight and a good opportunity for him? Because if he loses, oh boy, if he loses. And you know, you were talking about Manny Pacquiao here, so there is a puncher's chance he might lose. But I think it's a great look for Terence Crawford, even if he just negotiates with Pacquiao, perhaps in hopes of getting a better split with Spence. Now, this does not mean that Spence won't go and pull Manny Pacquiao's name out of the hat now and potentially give him the fight he was supposed to get before the Ugas situation came about. You know, he could still potentially step in and block Terence Crawford from getting the Manny Pacquiao fight. Like I've always said, you know, Errol Spence holds all the cards now. He could block a lot of stuff. He could block Terence Crawford from getting the Spence fight, with, you know, the fight with him. He could block Terence Crawford from getting Jaron Ennis fight if he wanted to. He could block Terence Crawford from getting a Virgil Ortiz fight if he wanted, you know, because Spence is the big fish in welterweight. You know, he could always step in and say, hey, I want that fight. You know, why would I give it to Crawford when I can get it? But we know that Spence has mandatory situations going on, which is why I think, you know, this Manny Pacquiao talk is now coming up, because I was telling y'all there's a real chance that Spence Crawford might not happen this year because of the mandatory situations and because Spence just has too much on his plate that he's been setting aside for about 2 years now, because he had the car accident, he had the Pacquiao situation, he had the situation with his eye, and now he sidestepped some other stuff to get that Ugas fight. So there's other situations he really needs to take care of, I think, before he can get into the ring with Terence Crawford. How does this benefit Terence Crawford if he does actually take this fight? Well, number one, it's going to make him uber famous. He's, you know, the thing that people say about Terence Crawford is he can't sell a fight, is that people don't tune in for his fights. If he was to match up with Manny Pacquiao, people are going to tune in for a few reasons. They're going to think that Pacquiao can still beat him, which I still think he can beat him. They're going to think that Terence Crawford's going to knock Pacquiao out because he's old, which I don't think so, but it's possible. Anything's possible. and they're going to tune in just because it's a last generation superstar versus a new generation. You can call Terence Crawford a superstar, but I would say I would beg to differ with the superstar talk. He's a superstar in terms of being a boxer, but not a superstar in terms of fame. I don't know if that makes sense to everybody, but he's not. Like I said, it's hard for him to sell a fight, so you can't call him a superstar if he can't sell a fight. But this would help him to become that superstar status, and it would actually help the Spence Crawford fight sell better if he was to defeat Manny Pacquiao. I think if he got into a ring with Pacquiao, and whether he won a decision or won by knockout or technical knockout, as long as he won that fight, that Spence Crawford fight is going to go through the roof. It's going to do ridiculous numbers. Now, it would still do good numbers even if he didn't match up with Pacquiao, but it would do ridiculous numbers if he was to match up with Pacquiao and beat him. Does that help him in terms of negotiating with Spence? Does that help him get a bigger purse out of Spence? Now it doesn't, because Spence has 3 of those belts. He can make any claim he wants to for the amount that he would like to offer Terence Crawford. And Terence Crawford really can't do anything about it because he lost all his negotiating power when he didn't take the Ugas fight and go get that belt from Ugas. You know, Spence has just way too much negotiating power at this point. So I don't think it helps him in terms of negotiating a better split for himself if he was to fight Errol Spence, but I do think it would help that fight to sell even better than what it was already going to do. Can Manny Pacquiao still beat Terence Crawford at this point in his career? Yes. Even the Pacquiao that got into the ring with Ugas has a chance. Now, was that the version of Pacquiao that people wanted to see? No. Was that a good enough version of Pacquiao to hang in there with Ugas with 12 rounds? Yes, it was. He did hang in there with Ugas with 12 rounds. He did not give the best showing, but he hung in there with Ugas for 12 full rounds. And he gave Ugas a good enough showing to where people still want to see Pacquiao fight again. Can he beat Terence Bud Crawford? Yes. But, and here's the thing, and this is the reason why I keep saying I want him to come back and fight again. There is no more politics in the way of Pacquiao being fully focused. So if he did get in there and lose, he lost because his skill sets have degraded, not because it's a political issue of him not being focused. If he gets in there and wins, then that should tell you a lot about why the Ugas fight went the way it went. It was a case of, to me, I feel like the Ugas fight went the way it went because Pacquiao, if you look at that video that ES News put out the day that they said that Spence was backing out because of the eye injury, just look at the look that is on Manny Pacquiao's face. He looked like somebody just ran his puppy over. And they gave him the finger while they were doing it. And he just looked drained mentally, and he looked like he just didn't want to be involved in the situation anymore. So I think he went into the Ugas fight not only getting a bad massage at the bad time. A lot of things came to fruition that shouldn't have during that fight. And I think he went in with the wrong mindset, and he ultimately lost because of it. I don't think he's going to go into this fight with that mindset. If this fight gets signed and we get to the day of the fight and both these guys get in the ring, I think they're going to go balls to the wall, both of them, and somebody's going to get a spectacular win. Who's it going to be? You know, only God knows at this point if it gets signed. I'm a Pacquiao fan. I'm always going to favor Pacquiao. It's going to be a tough fight. It's going to be a tough fight. As for people that's going to say, hey, well, you said he keeps fighting, you know, fighters that are not worthy of his status. You know, Pacquiao's not worthy at this point. Some people are going to say that. I beg to differ. 43-year-old Manny Pacquiao is still better than a 2-year laid off Sean Porter. A 43-year-old Manny Pacquiao is still better than a Kell Brook with a tore up eye socket that can't even take a punch to the face barely anymore. He might be able to take an American punch, but he can't take a Crawford or a Spence or a Pacquiao punch to the face anymore. So for anybody who wants to level that argument that, I've been saying that Crawford hasn't been fighting competition that's on his level, Manny Pacquiao still surpasses Errol Spence and Terence Crawford when it comes to time in the ring, strength of fights that he's had, legacy, all of that stuff. Manny Pacquiao's so far past both of those guys. I don't care really how old he is. I'm going to give him a chance. So, for people trying to leverage that argument against me, just stop it. If Manny Pacquiao makes this happen, now he said if those negotiations fall apart, I'm not sure. They're trying to be quiet about the negotiation this time. They don't want to embarrass Crawford, and they want to make sure that they can hash out the perfect deal. But if it doesn't come to fruition, I would love to see this fight. I would love. Now, my homie Captain Fuji, shouts out to you. He says he doesn't want Pacquiao getting in the way of this fight not happening for another year or so. I don't think it would be a situation of him getting in the way. I think there are mandatories that are already in the way. So why not? Why not have Terence Crawford take on Manny Pacquiao? It's something that he wanted in the past and couldn't get it done. He ducked. To me, he ducked. Him and Bob Arum kind of admitted that. And if he can get it done now, I think this will solidify him so much more as a welterweight and as a great fighter. If he was to get in there and beat Pacquiao, but I do think Pacquiao will beat him. If Pacquiao loses, at that point, it would depend on how he lost, whether I would want to see him continue or not. If he got knocked out, I definitely wouldn't want to see him continue. If he got TKO'd, depending on how the TKO came, I might still want to see him get in the ring one more time. Maybe get that Ugas fight back. If he gives him a good showing, if he goes 12 rounds with Terence Crawford, we could be talking about a potential rematch or potentially even Manny Pacquiao beating Terence Crawford at 44, almost 44 years of age. How spectacular would that be? This is big news for the boxing world. Let's just hope, there are two scenarios that could play out here, and I'm going to close it out like this. There are two big scenarios that could play out here. One of those scenarios could be that, the Spence-Crawford negotiations don't break down, and we actually get the Spence and Crawford fight. What happens then for Manny Pacquiao? I think there are a few other names he could face up with out there. If he could potentially get Ugas back in the ring, that might take a while because Ugas is injured. We'd have to see what Pacquiao would ultimately like to go. Maybe he gets in the ring with Jaron Ennis. Maybe he tries his hand with Virgil Ortiz. There are some other big names out there. I wouldn't want to see him fight anything less than a top-tier welterweight, though. I don't want to see him go and fight Ryan Garcia or Mikey Garcia. Fight those top-tier guys or get out of the way. And then the other situation would be, for the Terence Crawford Manny Pacquiao fight to actually happen, because the Spence and Crawford fight can't happen. And oh God. I said Crawford fans were praying for the. I'm praying Manny Pacquiao gets his shot, because I think he has 2 fights left in him, and those 2 fights could potentially make him a welterweight champion again. And for anybody saying he's interjecting himself into something he shouldn't, this is boxing, this is sports. As long as you can win go for it. As long as you can win, go for it. And I don't have no problem with it, man. Shouts out to Manny Pacquiao. I hope I get to see my boy in the ring again. And shouts out to Terence Crawford. If you take this fight, this will get you that respect that you're looking for and you feel like you deserve. And if you beat him, you know, I will give you all the respect in the world. I won't have anything bad to say about you. I won't make no more videos about you not being top tier as a welterweight. You know, at that point, I will just give you the props and the respect that you deserve and cover you the way, you know, some people probably feel like I should be. But I keep it real on my channel. So, you know, for now, I think that's it. Cardinal Red on all social media platforms. If you want to go check me out, it's your boy Cardinal Red, Cardinal Bud Crawford. And we are out of here.
Blood of a boss. Got the blood of a boss that will pass down. Never get caught with my pants down.